Update. Am I the a-hole for publicly humiliating my wife at her workplace after discovering her affair? Original post. I don't even know where to begin. My wife Leah, 43 female, and I have been married for 10 years. We have 2 beautiful children, our 5-year-old son and our 2-year-old daughter. I thought we were happy, or at least I thought we were trying. But 4 weeks ago, my entire life came crashing down. My 46th male started to notice that she was glued to her phone more than usual. Leah has always been private, but this was different. She'd smile at her screen, then immediately lock it when I walked into the room. One night after she fell asleep, I couldn't resist. I checked her phone. What I found still makes me sick to my stomach. There were messages with a coworker, Eric, 48 male, going back years. Explicit texts, photos, promises of love, even references to secret trips they'd taken while I was at home with the kids, believing she was working late or at work trips. My heart was racing, my hands trembling. I confronted her the next morning. At first she denied it, saying I was misunderstanding. But when I read her the messages out loud, her face crumbled. She admitted it. She said it started 4 years ago, long before our youngest was born. She tried to justify it. You were distant. We were struggling, but nothing could excuse this. I started digging deeper. I followed her to work one day, needing to see it for myself. Sure enough, after her shift, she walked out arm in arm with Eric. They didn't even try to hide it. They got into his car and drove off. I followed them to a restaurant where they sat like a happy couple, laughing, holding hands. It broke me. But what shattered me completely was when I learned they'd built their own life together. They had been renting an apartment near work, a place where she'd go when she was working overtime. I saw them go inside. I checked on them for about 4 nights, and they had the same routine. That's when I snapped. I packed all of her belongings, everything she owned, into the back of my car and drove to her workplace the next morning after spying on them. I know I did wrong. When she walked out, I dumped everything right there on the sidewalk in front of her and her co-workers. I told her she wasn't coming home. Since then, I've filed for divorce and am fighting for full custody of the kids. She's begging me to forgive her, saying she doesn't want to lose the family we built. But how can I? Friends and family keep asking me if I regret how I handled it, publicly humiliating her, kicking her out without notice. I do. She tore our family apart, and the least she could do is face some accountability. But I can't help but feel like the bad guy for how I acted. I've had nights where I felt very lonely, and I miss her. Of course, I am also attending therapy sessions to be better for the kids and for myself. All I care about is them. They don't deserve this chaos. And as much as it hurts, I know they are better off with me than with someone who could live a lie for so long. Now for the top comments before reading the update. The only thing to worry about at this point is a DNA test. That's the first thing that popped into my mind when OP mentioned the length of the affair spanning from before the 2-year-old was born. The woman cheating after being caught cheating means there is no relationship with OP. At that point, there needs to be no consideration given to the alien living in OP's home. In fact, the second alien, Eric, also needs to be nuked. They can live together in their other affair apartment. Your soon-to-be ex had no problem making her affair public, so she has no right to cry about you making the divorce public as well. I really hate it when people claim to want to make a relationship work after they were outed in an affair, but they did nothing to stop it while it was ongoing. The time for possible forgiveness was when she came to you, admitted she had an affair, ended it, and wanted to make things right with you. Not the a-hole. I have no patience and no sympathy for people who only apologize once they get caught. Turn yourself in and apologize? That is a different story. Now for update a month later. Thanks to everyone who commented on my original post. I wanted to share an update about where things stand now. For those asking how I didn't notice her affair for 4 years, it's because Leah was always incredibly private. She was adamant about boundaries and would shut me down if I asked too many questions. She handled the rent, utilities, and her own expenses, while I covered groceries, the kids' school costs, internet, water, and anything extra. She claimed it was fair since we both worked, and I didn't push because I trusted her and didn't want to create unnecessary conflict. Looking back, I can see how I missed the signs, but at the time, I didn't think questioning her was necessary. After finding out about her affair, I had DNA tests done for both kids. My son is biologically mine, but my daughter isn't. That was a tough pill to swallow, but it doesn't change anything for me. I've been her father in every way that matters, and I love her like my own. I believe the person who raises a child is their real parent, and no court is going to convince me otherwise. Right now, I'm in the middle of the legal process. I'm based in Kentucky, and the divorce laws here are fairly straightforward. Once you file, you can move quickly, especially if kids are involved. In Kentucky, you don't have to wait long for initial hearings. I filed for divorce right away, and since there are children in the picture, we've already had preliminary hearings regarding temporary custody and financial arrangements. The process of serving her papers was done within the first week, and the court's been handling the case at a steady pace since then. I hired a really good attorney who's been pushing things forward efficiently, and while it's been overwhelming, it's necessary to make sure I have custody of my kids and get the best outcome for them. It's not an overnight thing, but I've been doing everything I can over the past few weeks to make sure the legal side is taken care of. The divorce itself hasn't been finalized yet, but I've made it clear that I'm fighting for full custody of both kids. I've explained to the court why I believe Leah isn't fit to have primary custody. Her betrayal wasn't just a personal one. It shows a complete disregard for the stability and well-being of our family. The court process is slow, and so far, we've only had preliminary hearings. I've provided evidence of her infidelity and the double life she led, and I've asked for a full psychological evaluation for both of us to ensure the best decision is made for the kids. I'm also working on showing the court that I've been the primary caregiver, emotionally and financially. My lawyer has told me it's a tough battle, especially since courts often lean toward joint custody, but I'm not backing down. This is destroying everything I thought I knew about my life. But for now, I'm staying focused on my kids and doing everything I can to give them a stable and loving home. They're the only good thing to come out of all this, and I won't let them down. Thank you for your support. It means more than you know. I'm really sorry you're going through this. Is the affair partner the bio dad? And do you plan on telling your daughter the truth when she's old enough to understand? Thank you. I really appreciate your kind words. To answer your question, I don't know for sure if the affair partner is the biological father. I haven't decided if I even want to pursue that information right now. It feels like opening another door I'm not ready to face. As for telling my daughter, I genuinely have no idea how or when to approach it. Right now, I'm leaning toward not saying anything for the time being, and just continuing to be her dad like nothing has changed. I know I'll have to face that conversation eventually, but it's overwhelming to think about. I'm working through all of this with my therapist, and I'm hoping they can help me figure out how to handle these incredibly difficult conversations with both of my kids. For now, I'm just trying to take it one step at a time and focus on giving them as much love and stability as I can. I went through this, not once but twice. Sorry you're going through all this. I know how it feels. I won in both of my divorces, so I am glad I fought for custody of my kids. You keep fighting for yours. When they threatened me, I dragged them both through the mud in courts and on social media. And to this day, I don't feel bad about it. They both got what they deserved, period. So don't feel bad that you dropped everything off at her workplace in front of coworkers too. At least now she knows actions have consequences, period. I'm really sorry you had to go through something like this twice. That's unimaginable. Thank you for your support and for sharing your experience. It helps to know I'm not alone in this. I do have screenshots of the entire conversation from her phone. Years of texts, photos, and everything else. I made sure to send them to myself before confronting her, so I have all the proof I need. Sometimes I think about exposing her and him publicly, putting it all out there so people see what they did. But honestly, I'm just so drained. Between work, taking care of my kids, and trying to process everything, I barely have the energy to keep going some days, let alone drag them through the mud. And even when I do feel angry enough to do it, there's a part of me that feels guilty. I don't know why. I mean, they're the ones who destroyed everything, but I guess it's because I don't want to stoop to their level. I'm taking things one step at a time and focusing on what's most important, my kids and getting through this divorce. Maybe one day I'll feel differently, but for now, I just don't have it in me to make a spectacle out of their betrayal, even if they deserve it. I feel like I'm stupid for this mindset. I am petty, so that's what I did. I exposed them both. And the guy my second ex cheated with was in the military, and he ended up getting kicked out because of it. So yeah, karma is a B, lol. If I didn't stand up for myself, no one else would have. I wasn't going to just take that cheating BS lying down either. You want to play stupid games? You can win stupid prizes too. I'm in the military too, so the fact that one of my own sergeants slept with my wife at the time says it all. She blamed me for ruining his career. I was like, so let me get this straight. He walked into my home, slept with my wife, and ruined my family, but I'm the bad guy here for turning him in? WTF. And also, she wasn't the only wife he was sleeping with. There were more. She thought she was special, and when she found out she wasn't, she was big mad because he didn't want anything more than sex, lol. I told her she was lucky that's all I did to either of them. Keep staying strong. This will pass and make you stronger, trust me. But sometimes, you gotta fight fire with fire, so everyone knows who they really are. I am remarried now and have been happily married for 13 years, so there is a light at the end of the tunnel too. Good luck in the future, and trust me, karma is gonna get them one way or another. With my first ex, we were together and she cheated with my coworker too. Well, they were together for 5 years until he ended up cheating on her and leaving her the same way she left me. Karma got her in the end. Next story. Am I the a-hole? My ex-husband is now all of a sudden interested in co-parenting after 19 years without, and I refuse to adapt his parenting style. Our young men, almost 21 and 19, they're 15 months apart, have been going between their dad's house and my house quite regularly for the past couple of years. Their dad has money, and I unfortunately have been disability retired for several years. I've always been able to take care of my boys, so that isn't an issue. Our almost 21-year-old has been dealing with mental health issues for at least 6 years now, while my youngest has anger issues. I have been trying to get help for both of them through our country's Canada healthcare system. Without extra medical insurance, inpatient mental health rehab costs a minimum of $26,000 to $100,000. The waitlists for any free online courses or classes are 4+ months and are truly ineffective. Family counseling sessions take at least 3 months to schedule. My father, as my ex only respects him and his opinion, and I met with my ex and our 2 young men. We all agreed that respectful consideration would be had on all sides, no controlling attempts, and no disrespectful home return times. However, my ex then decided that our almost 21-year-old wouldn't be allowed to leave the house outside of work. As soon as we got back to my house, my ex texted me saying, "You better make sure he doesn't go out tonight." My son had left his car at his dad's to avoid being bombarded with messages. My son and I talked, and I asked him what time he felt was fair to come home. As we have a new fur baby that I adopted last Saturday, who is 1 year old, we agreed on 12:30. No demands, no attempts at control, just mutual consideration. He came back at 12:31. His dad was spamming me with messages until he finally texted, "I'm guessing son is out and you don't want to tell me." I waited until my son returned and then messaged my ex back saying, "Of course I didn't want to talk to you about it, because your go-to reaction is to take the car unless things go in your favor. You verbally and emotionally abuse all of us." We agreed on a reasonable time frame for him to come home, and our son complied, so I don't need any BS from you implying I'm a bad mom. I'd rather be reasonable, fair, and respectful of our sons than be a controlling a-hole who causes them to resent me so much that they cut off contact. So, am I the a-hole for sticking to my parenting style, which has worked for 20+ years? Or should I adopt my ex's BS parenting approach with our 2 young men? Now for the top comments. Why is he trying to ground a 21-year-old? And why are you co-parenting? They're adults. That's kind of my point. Their father has now decided to attempt to parent our grown young men. I refuse his demands, lol, and choose to have adult conversation with them about everything. He's been blowing up my phone. I've silenced his notifications, but haven't blocked him as they stay with him sometimes to try to badger me into agreeing with him on control. Hence the post. Why are you bothering to have a conversation with him about it at all? Both your kids are technically and legally adults. Let them deal with their relationship with him themselves, unless they specifically ask you to step in. Not the a-hole. Both of your sons are legal adults at this point. Can you cut your ex off entirely? I have cut him off a few years back. I was just concerned that when they were with him only recently, that they might actually fight. As their dad is, boys will be boys mentality. Last story. Am I the a-hole for ending my relationship with my new girlfriend because she wouldn't pay me back my $50 and told me I was acting desperate and that it was unattractive? My girlfriend and I have been dating for 3 months, so it's still fairly new. So far, it had been going okay. About 2 weeks ago, she asked me if I could loan her $50. I told her that I didn't have it, but she reassured me that she would pay me back in 2 days when she got paid, so I wouldn't even notice. I took her word for it and gave her the money. When the day she said she would pay me back came, she didn't say anything about it. We just chatted as normal. The following day, I gently reminded her about it, and she said that she hadn't forgotten, and then changed the subject. More days passed, and she basically acted like it never happened. At the end of that week, I brought it up again and reminded her that I loaned her money I didn't have because I trusted her word, so I really needed her to pay me back. She got all offended and said that it was unattractive that I was acting so desperate over $50 and that she would pay it back when she had it. When more time passed, and it was clear that she had no intention of paying me back, or at least giving me a reason why she couldn't, I decided that it was best to end the relationship. She said, "Wow, over $50? Cool." Then she blocked me. Not the a-hole. She never intended to pay you back, and this wasn't the last loan she was going to ask for. I don't think she intended to pay me back either. She was probably hoping that I just don't say anything and forget about it. I don't know, man. I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, you've been dating for 3 months. Everything is going fine. Why would you even ask her for the $50 back? Let her know you're tight but still willing to give her the money, and you'll see. Without you even asking for it back, she will repay you one way or another. I put myself in her shoes, and it is unattractive indeed. I think you messed up a good thing over $50. I asked her for the money back because I didn't even have it in the first place, just as I told her. Meaning I took money that was budgeted for something else, which then left me short. I wouldn't have given it to her if she had said she wouldn't be able to pay it back because I'm broke currently, so it wouldn't have made sense to loan her or even anyone else money I wasn't going to get back. I also didn't like how she kept dismissing me, then making me feel bad for wanting it back, like I was bothering her or something.